by saying thank you for affording me this opportunity to add my voice and be part of congratulating this sterling work that the Cities Network has done over the 20 years. And it continues to be a relevant voice in local government even today. My name is Zintle Peter, a former executive mayor of Buffalo City Municipality. So that's how I got to know the Cities Network. So at the time I was then requested to be part of the board members as one of the secondary cities at the time. So I became the chairperson of the South African Cities Network at the time. And Mr. Mbanga was the CEO, which of course is still the case even today. You know, when you are deployed in those offices of the executive mayor, the legislative environment, it places upon you the demand for accountability and responsibility. So you have no time to say, no, let me first learn. So the Cities Network provided me with the necessary tools that I needed at the time when I was there. So I learned a lot. I was equipped, I was empowered. So I'm very grateful to have been part of the Cities Network at that time. Yes, I came in immediately after the former chairperson, Andrew Borain. And then I acted after Andrew Borain until I was formally elected. The beauty about being a woman is that there's that motherly love, which goes beyond your own family. So everyone around you, take them on as a mother. But beyond that, there's a perception that women leaders are weak. They don't have the capacity and what it takes to be leaders, which is a very wrong notion. Because women leaders, they give their all in everything they do. And of course, you can imagine, you are also leading people that have got that perception. So how they judge you, it's like there's already a benchmark that they've put there for you. You are measured against a plumb line as a woman. So it pushes you to do even more, to better yourself even more. But I look at it on a positive side because it allows you to learn very fast. You have no room to be in your comfort zone. I'll put it this way. You know, the Cities Network at the time when I joined, there were 4 thematic areas that are still the bedrock of the development agenda in local government. And the Cities Network was advocating for those thematic areas, being the productive cities, the inclusive cities, the sustainable cities, and well-governed cities. And I mean, I can safely say inclusion is a cross-cutting issue, which was a challenge then. It is still a challenge today. So those were the major areas that we looked at. We advocated for the city development strategy, which assists the cities to mobilize resources to realize their development goals. So we having that programmatic area of the city development strategy. We also forecasting the state of the city finances report was released at that time in 2007, I remember. And one of the burning issues that came out of that report was the challenge of the financing model that is used for municipalities. It's still the case even today. It was a major challenge then, which then was impeding on municipalities to do the delivery as expected, because having a plan without a budget to implement it is a challenge. And we realized that the major challenge lies with the financing model that is being used. So we're advocating for some policy reforms. We spoke about renewable energy. Interestingly, today we're sitting at the state that the country is in. We started talking about renewable energy back then. And we're saying there's a need for some amendments on the Electricity Regulatory Authority, the Act, the AR Act, there was a need for some amendments because there was not enough room given for municipalities to implement renewable energy. So the powers were not really there with the municipalities, whilst the municipalities are the ones that are at the coalface of delivery. All the challenges of economic growth, because if you want to talk about productive cities, it means you need to grow the economy of the city. And unfortunately, within the spheres of government, most of those powers, they rest with the national, not the municipality. One advantage of the cities network, because whatever information, whatever report that is being published by the cities network, it's coming from an independent body that is not manipulated by politics. Because you know, when you're too close to what is happening, you are not able to see. You tend to defend what you are faced with. The cities network is a hub of research and knowledge management. So every report that they release is based on facts that have been thoroughly researched, and there's evidence base on any information that they come up with. However, the level of influence, I think that's one of the areas that we need to look at. What happens with these reports at the end of the day? Where do they land? Who is supposed to be taking them to have realizable implementation plans? So we have all these nice reports that are raising the triggers and the challenges that the country is faced with today. But how we action those reports, that is still a big question. Now the thing is, policy reforms, cooperation between the three spheres of government, collaboration of the cities so that they speak with one voice. The cities network is providing that safe space. Cities are able to speak freely about their challenges and learn from one another. But what happens afterwards? Because there's a legislative environment that is not really interfaced. And that's where our major challenge is. The cities are expected to deliver services, but the division of revenue is done in another platform. That is just but one example. I will talk about the IDP, how integrated is the integrated development plan. That's another interesting topic. We can take the whole day talking about that. It definitely has the potential to do the integration that we have not really been able to do, but it still goes back to the effectiveness of our influence to make an impact. Because influence that is not effective, you will not have an impact at the end of the day. You can only make an impact when you are given room to effectively influence the policy directions of the country. Now it goes to collaboration and partnership of the different spheres of government and partnerships with the private sector. So the partnership and collaboration is very key. Without that, you are not able to go anywhere. The cities are the ones that are feeling the heat, and they have a better knowledge and experience of the challenges that we are faced in the country. So I would say, if it's resting at the level of the cities, that is where it's supposed to be. But there must be just that willingness to cooperate and work together towards a common goal. Let me say, the cities are doing a remarkable job in advancing and realizing the development agenda. However, problems seem to be escalating every day. The city's network highlighted the issues of migration and development, management of people movement, because also if you want economic growth, people are moving towards those areas that have got economic growth. So development can never be separated with migration. So this has been one of the major challenges of the developments in the cities. However, as we said, we have not moved on the financing model of the cities. That puts a strain on cities. The infrastructure development is one of the key areas. If you want to talk about economic growth, if you want to talk about productivity, infrastructure is key. The other element is we have a room to do more on active citizenry, which is not really a key thing is right now. So active citizenry is very important. Taking the people along, what kind of budgeting will assist us in doing that? I remember at some point there was a pilot study that was done on what-based budgeting. In that way, you're allowing the wards to say what are their priorities instead of just coming and telling them that these are the priorities of the city based on what. But now the challenge, you have people that are moving at a faster rate to the cities. We are currently having issues with energy generation. How do we balance this? We still need to make sure that the cities are sustainable. How can they be sustainable when there's no revenue in the cities? So the cities are faced with all these challenges. And as I have said, people go to the city, they see the city as the face of government. They don't know about national government having certain powers at the provincial government. When they see a municipality, all their problems, they come to the municipality. So I think we still have a long way to go there. You need an independent voice, but you need maybe to elevate, the role that they are playing, to go beyond just producing these qualitative researches and this beautiful information that they are publishing. They need to go beyond that, sort of have an interface directly with the cities beyond only the metropolitan cities. So there's a need for another platform. I don't want to talk about the cities network in Salga. I'm not sure how those two platforms are working together, because in my view, if there was that cooperation and partnership in the two, things then would be better, because the reports will be feeding in to a structure that has got the legislative ground to implement those reports. Look, the one other area that has a gap currently is on the side of empowering the city leaders, the politicians to be specific. What happens when politicians come to power? What kind of training are they receiving? Is it only about ticking the boxes to say we've done ABC? Can they relate with those big documents that they are given? How do we align professionalism with the political space so that you have politicians that can interact with the documents and be able to take transformation issues in a different way that is going to contribute to the betterment of their citizens. I'm not sure if we have such trainings right now. I'm not intending to say they are illiterate. They are not illiterate, but local government is a very complex space. You need a focused way of empowerment for those city leaders. But then again, talking about that, you have the political administrative dichotomy. I think the cities network can play a fair role there. At the level of the city leaders, there are major challenges just for basic services. So they need to be focused on such things. But again, looking at the current landscape and the challenges that the world is faced with, you cannot not incorporate that part of innovativeness. So creativity and innovative is definitely, it has to be at the center of taking the cities forward. You can't continuously be where you were. Basic services are necessary. So the technocrats at the city, they need to be focused on those and over time introduce the innovative ways of delivering services. That can also help with accountability. I think that will be very key when we talk about how cities are accountable, because these are the things that we always see citizens crying about. To say there's no communication, cities are not accountable for whatever services and whatever resources that they are given. When you have that innovation coming in, you will have a better way of working on certain things. You remember I highlighted the thematic areas that we're dealing with. I highlighted the programmatic areas that came out of that, the city development strategy, the advocacy for policy reforms and amendments to some of these acts, the Division of Revenue Act, that was 2006. We're celebrating 20 years. We're still talking about the same challenges. What I'm seeing, the city's network is running ahead of everything. But on the implementation side and taking actionable steps, there's a lull there, nothing is happening. So you looking at the next 20 years, definitely yes. The city's network is that unique independent voice in local government that produces thoroughly researched information so that whatever decisions are taken in governing the cities are well informed. So it will always be relevant, if not more relevant. That's why you heard me saying maybe they need to be elevated and be given more scope of work. I just want to say I'm proud to have been part of this reputable network. The name doesn't even begin to describe the importance and the relevance of the work that this organization is doing in local government. Continue the good work. Continue. We need to find your voice now at the next level so that you are able to have influence effectively. There must be impact from the reports that you are producing. We must find a way to have the cities network directly influencing what happens in the cities. So congratulations, and allow me to say a word of appreciation to the CEO and the South African Cities Network family. for the sterling work, for allowing me to learn and grow with you. You have been instrumental in contributing and investing in my identity and my future goals. So today, others, they say good governance and accountability are my last names, because I have become an ambassador of the good governance through the cities network. I learned a lot and continue to do the sterling work that you're doing. I once visited Sweden, the city of Gävle, and we found there were issues that were common between our city at the time, Buffalo City, and the city of Gävle in Sweden. And the warmth that you get there, the cleanliness, they focus on the basic things of delivery, and that's what attracts investors. So we've learned a lot from them in terms of well-governed cities and clean cities, because if you have a city that is filled with litter all over the place, you have automatically chased investors away from your city. So that's what I love the most about them. They've got a very simple way of doing things, of managing their city, and it works. They have a way of caring for the elderly, caring for the young ones. We tend to focus too much on the paperwork and the desk, and we forget that we're working with people, and we need to take them along and make them part of us. I love Gauteng province. I love Zintle. The challenges that we're faced with, they're exciting. They keep you on your toes. When you're too much on your comfort zone, you stop learning, you stop developing. When you don't have challenges around you, you have nothing to offer, because there's nothing that's pushing you to provide creativity and innovation. For you to have a solution, you must have the kind of crazy challenges that we have here in Gauteng, generally. Maybe I should have said Joburg, Johannesburg, not even Zintle. Johannesburg is the best place. I would prefer Bush Lodge. I'll tell you why. The COVID era has taught me something. At first, I thought I was lonely because we're all locked indoors. But I realized I was not lonely. It was a period of aloneness. So when you are in the bushes, you're given space to be alone. And when you're alone, you are able to find yourself within you. You are able to find wholeness. By the time you meet people, you have a different perspective in life. You are filled with love that you never had. The temperament and the impatience we had, it's almost a thing of the past. You get to love and appreciate people because you have seen how delicate life can be. Okay. The superpower is in you.
Amen.
We run around looking for superpowers. We mess ourselves around. The hatred that is there, the internal conflict is what is manifesting in what we see every day. The crime, the gender-based violence, it all has to do with an internal conflict. And if that is not resolved, you cannot think you can be able to resolve other problems when you are a problem within yourself. So you need to deal with yourself first and understand the superpower that is within you. And that gives you peace with everyone else. You are not lonely. You are alone for a very good reason, so that you can find wholeness in you. and be able to relate with the world, having found your identity first, knowing who you are. Thank you.